try.
Somebody will.
I'll be the one.
All right, probability.
And about 30
Let's talk
emails?
about probability. Huh? What did she say?
I said she probably sent in about 30 emails to you at once.
Probably. That's probably right.
Okay, so
Why'd you make that test so hard?
test wasn't hard. Y'all just complain no matter what. All right, we're going to take a red marker and I'm going to highlight this road right here. Now, this road is called Wild Hog Road. And those of you that don't know where Wild Hog Road is, here's Pendleton. Well, here's the Waffle House in Pendleton.
Did you say the what?
She has.
Never mind.
You don't know where Waffle House is in
I
Pendleton?
didn't think you said waffle. I thought you were trying to be funny. I thought you said something else. I know where the Waffle House is at. Duh. Don't shake your head.
You know, you need to lay off those what do you call it, meth pipes?
Yeah.
You need to lay off that stuff, girl. Pendleton High School is right about here. Just giving y'all a little bit of orientation. Dang old Tri-County Tech, dang old QT. I'll just give you the QT. There you go. And of course, Anderson is this way.
You got a label Hooters and Cracksburg.
I got to label what?
Hooters and Cracksburg.
No. I don't endorse the caveman joint. I went there one time, and I'll tell you when it was. When the Anderson Hooters opened up, a friend of mine was doing the backsplash for the kitchen. He put in the backsplash, and he said, "Come on, we get to eat free opening night." I went there, and I walked out. I said, "I don't want to be associated with that place." I said, "That's fine. People that work there is fine. It's great. The food's up. I don't want to be associated with men that act like they've never seen a woman before." So I didn't go.
Okay, if Sandra Bullock walking that door.
If Sandra Bullock walking that door would be different. I'd be like, waiting outside, All right,
Look how you
so
smile.
this is Highway 24. And that's a stretch of about, I can't remember, but it takes about 12 to 14 minutes for you to travel that road. Of course, some guy is going to say he can travel it in 2.6 seconds. But most people that drive normal, that, act like they got good sense, usually it takes 12 to 15 minutes to travel that road. Wild Hog Road is a 2-lane road, and you can't pass because it's pretty what? It's straight. It's pretty straight for a road. And, of course, some guys try to pass, and they end up running in the ditch because there's too much traffic on it. So, why am I telling you the story? Well, if you want, and I traveled this road for 15 years when I taught at the Pendleton campus, and I live back over in this area, back in this, about 2 miles back that way. And so the quickest way for me to get to Pendleton was to take Wild Hog Road, and it would take me about 16 to 20 minutes to get to Pendleton. That's about how long it takes me. And that was going at a moderate speed. But one thing about Wild Hog Road, if you have an 8 o'clock class and you get on Wild Hog Road at 7:30, you will be late for that 8 o'clock class. Does anybody know why? Anybody in Anderson or from Anderson know why you're going to be late? If it only takes 16 minutes, why am I going to be late for that 8 o'clock class? It doesn't have anything to do with Tri-County Tech.
That one person that goes slow.
How'd you know that?
Because I live in South Carolina.
Okay, right.
People are idiots on the road.
Yeah,
I've
that's
never
true.
even been to Anderson, I know that.
Okay. When you pull onto Wild Hog Road right here, The little old ladies, the little blue-haired old ladies club, they have the CBs in their cars, and they call out, okay, we got one on Wild Hog Road. So right in here, little old lady gonna pull out right there. And you're gonna get behind that little old lady, and you're gonna be behind that little old lady at 33 miles an hour, all the way to get to this area right here. And you're going to get about a quarter of the way, you're going to get about right there, which is about 500 feet from the red light. And you're going to say to yourself, I bet you a dang dollar she's going to turn left.
And she does.
Just as soon as you do that, what does she do?
Turn left.
She turns on her blinker, and that blinker says she's going to turn left. So basically, what have you done? You have foretold the what?
Probability.
Future. So now you can go on TV and you can say, you can tell people's future. That's what you can do, and I don't know why this thing is not right.
Maybe it's at the top where you can't see.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Future, okay? Can people tell the future? Hell to the no. And I say that very stressingly. You got these people that will say, Miss Cleo, was Miss Cleo that got thrown in jail? Call 1-800 and I can tell your future.
What she got thrown in jail for?
Fraud. You can't tell people's future. Okay? That's a joke. I'll tell you what, if you find somebody that can foretell the future, all you have to do is ask them one question. What is it?
What are the lottery?
What are the lottery numbers? Oh, that's not what I do. Okay, shut up, you're a fraud. What are the lottery numbers? Okay, ask them something like that. Because anybody that tells the future is a joke. All right? Now, can I deduce? Can I take this and that? Can you take a game called 20 Questions and deduce and find out what something is? Yes.
Yeah.
Can you pick a person? And first of all, if a person comes to you and wants to know their future, they're probably in a state of depression in the first place. So the first thing you're going to think of as a fortune teller is, okay, this person probably is in a little bit of depression. They want to see if they, blah, 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 blah. So we'll ask them a few questions, tell them what they want to hear, and then we'll give them some money, and then they give me $50, $25, or whatever the case may be. Okay? The idea of telling the future is a joke. I don't care what anybody says. If you know somebody that says they can tell the future, then what do? You ask for what are the
Lottery numbers
and see what they say. If they start with that, oh, well, that's not what I do, then you just walk away because they're full of it. Why? Because probability, I'm going to erase this right here. And the reason I tell this story, I forgot about that. The reason I tell this story, hold on just a second, let me just, I forgot, I can't do that because I'll erase the picture. The reason I tell this story is because I want to make it stick, all right? Probability is the assigning, I don't know if I spelled assigning right, assigning a number from 0 to 1 to a prediction using logic, experience, and mathematics, which means statistics. Assigning a number from 0 to 1 to a prediction using logic, experience, and math. And most of the time that math is statistics. Now, somebody tell me how I can use mathematics in this problem. I can't. But what else can I use? Logic and experience. I told you I traveled this road for 15 years. Okay? And whenever the T-Rex campus up there at Pendleton makes everybody drive 30 minutes for a meeting that they could have over the internet with these smart rooms, when we have to drive up there for 30 minutes and, we have to waste a half a day, then we have to drive up Wild Hog Road. Okay? I have that experience. But where's the logic? Well, look at the geography of Wild Hog Road. What do you mean, Hubert? Well, what's around the south end of Wild Hog Road? Orwell Lake. Okay? So if you live, and I'm going to take the highlighter, here's the logic. I'm going to highlight all of this area right in here. If you live west of Anderson, which is pretty much basically this area right here and back that way, if you need to get to Clemson, Pendleton, or Sandy Springs, what road are you going to take?
That road.
Going to take Wild Hog Road. So, logically and mathematically, there's a 33% chance that the person that gets on Wild Hog Road at 24 is going to Clemson, Pendleton, or Sandy Springs. Everybody with me? So when the old lady, when she gets on the road, or whoever, doesn't have to be old lady, but whoever's on that road in front of me, there's a 33% chance that they're going to Pendleton, Clemson, or Sandy Springs. Everybody with me?
Did we lose these?
Yeah.
Did we lose these?
Easily, are you still there?
Yeah.
What did the camera do? We're still here. The camera just cut off.
Okay, just hit it again and see if it.
There it goes.
Thank you. Now, I can take out Sandy Springs and LaFrance. Why can I take that out? Because if you know anything about Wild Hog Road, and I'll do this in magenta, there is several of these turnoffs right here that you can actually do what?
Fake.
Cut through
Hey, it just turned off again.
and go to where? Sandy Springs. So if a person was on Wild Hog Road and they wanted to go to Sandy Springs, they would have turned off at the first couple of turnoffs. So that takes out Sandy Springs. So the logic dictates that Sandy Springs is a no-go. So what's left from Sandy Springs? Well, technically, left. If you turn right here, you go to Sandy Springs and LaFrance. I've just annihilated Sandy Springs and LaFrance. So that means the only way that this person is going to go when you get up here, because this is a dead end, the only way that they have to go is what?
Left.
To the left. I did not predict the future. What I did is I deduced. There is a difference between telling the future and deducing. Now, I foretold last semester that LSU was going to win the national championship. And I told people, and I told them, and I said, and everybody was like, they didn't even go to the national championship last year. Okay? What did I do? Well, I watch college football. And unlike some fans, I'm not going to mention who they are, I'm realistic. Okay? I use mathematics. And I look at the schedule. And I'm not saying that I'm perfect by no means. Did I tell the future? No. Nobody can tell the future. So I'm just telling you that because probability is not telling the future. Probability is basically 20 questions. How many of you have played 20 questions before? Going down the road? Okay, I'm thinking of something. Okay, is it an animal or a person? It's an animal. Does it fly or does it walk? It walks. Does it have fur or does it have hair? It has hair. Does it make a sound? Yes. Does it make a sound like a bird, or does it make us like a chirp, or does it make a growl? It makes a growl. And then you get down, what does it eat? Humans. Okay? I mean, you get down to a certain number, you can tell what I'm thinking of. That's all probability is. But instead of asking 20 questions, you use logic, experience, and math. Question on that. Y'all don't have any comments? I gave y'all a story. Y'all can.
Why are you so smart?
Oh, I'm not smart. I'm hard-headed. I'm hard-headed.
That's true.
You didn't know where I was going with Wild Hog Road.
I mean, I did. I wanted to see where you were going to bring it together.
Actually, a lot of people, by the time I get halfway through it, they're like, what the heck does this have? I can't believe somebody didn't say, what the heck does this have to do with probability? Okay?
I like it.
So anyway, probability is right there. Let me just get rid of that because it's.
I take that very well.
And does somebody get in front of you
Every time.
every time? It doesn't matter where, doesn't matter. They're going to get in front of you every time. All right. Now, these are some things you're going to see later. In fact, I don't want you to write that down. The probability of an event happening. Hold on a second. I don't know where I'm going. Hold on. I'll come back to that. The probability of an event happening is written like this. Okay? That's how you write the probability of an event. Now, if you want to put the event in there, you can say that. The probability of picking a king out of a deck of cards. You can put that. You can put probability of K. Okay? But the whole point of you understanding this is how you write the probability of an event is like that. The probability of the event not happening is called the complement. The complement is what makes up the whole. What's the complement of black? White. What's the complement of yin? Yang. What's the complement of 0? 1. What's the complement of 0.35 to $1? 0.65. What's the complement of true? False. What's the complement of guilty? Not guilty. Okay? And a lot of people say, no, the complement of not guilty is innocent. No, it's not. Okay? Because if you're innocent, you don't go to trial. Theoretically. Okay? Because we all know OJ was innocent. Right? Okay? Let's talk about that. Why wasn't OJ innocent? Why was he not guilty? Why wasn't he innocent?
They had to prove within a shadow of a doubt that he was.
Exactly. Let's have another story. Okay? Let's say that Miss Jeter and Mr. Poor, they're college students, and they have an apartment together. Okay? Roommates. Okay? Roommates. Okay, they have an apartment together and they're roommates. And Miss Jeter, she works her fingers to the bone trying to pay for things. She's the assistant to the assistant manager at Papa John's, and she works 60 hours a week. She goes to school 15 hours a week, and she has a cold, and she walks up the snow, uphill snow both ways, okay? She just works her fingers to the bone. She's got a nice car because she makes payments, and she does everything right. Mr. Poor is a bum, okay? Mr. Poor drives a Chevrolet truck that don't run half the time, and he basically is a freeloader, and he doesn't pay the rent, he eats all the food, and doesn't have a job, real Bernie type material. I'm sorry, real bum, okay? And he goes, I need to borrow your car Friday night. I got an errand to run. And Miss Jeter, she don't have use for the car because she works all the time. So she says, take me to work and then pick me up, blah, blah, blah. So she works from 5 o'clock till 3:30 in the morning. She's the assistant to the assistant to the assistant manager. And she's working herself to death. And he takes her to work, and she at 5 o'clock, and then picks her up at 3:30. And then the next morning, okay, Miss Jeter gets up at 7 o'clock. Of course, Mr. Poor don't get up till 1 o'clock in the morning or 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So he's just snoring. And the police come to the door and arrest Miss Jeter and take her to jail. And they take her to jail, and she's all hysterics and don't know what's going on. And they tell her that she's being booked for robbery. Okay? That her car, they have photographs of her car hooking up a log chain to the ATM at the Minute Mart and dragging it down the road. Okay? Will Miss Jeter ever go to court? Yes or no?
Depends, really.
No, there's no depends. Will she ever go to court?
Yeah.
No. Because part of the process is the police have to do a what?
Investigation.
Not a report before the report. Investigation. And what's the first thing a good police officer will do, especially nowadays with the stuff that we have? What will she do? What will the police officers do?
Change surveillance.
They'll go to the pizza place.
Ask questions.
And what will they do at the pizza place?
Check her out.
Ask questions.
They will check her alibi with 115 employees that was there. And they will also check what? What do we have at our places of work? Surveillance cameras. Miss Jeter will not go to court because Miss Jeter is 100% what? Innocent. She's innocent because she has a backed up what? You said
Alibi.
OJ didn't have no alibi. OJ could not explain where he was. Now, let me ask you a question. As famous as OJ was, could you not think of one person that would see him somewhere?
Duh.
Exactly. But nobody could corroborate, OJ was standing at the corner of 40, or OJ was here because I could tell OJ from 50, OJ was a very tall person, still is, and he sticks out like a sore thumb because he's, a big guy. And you're telling me not only with the celebrity of OJ Simpson that nobody saw him anywhere during the time of those murders? Come on, people. Oh, I was at home. Okay. Nobody saw you walk in and out of your, whatever. Anyway, to make a long story short, the reason that you cannot call OJ innocent is because he did not have an alibi. Therefore, he could never be claimed innocent. Okay? He would be claimed not guilty. The difference in innocent and guilty, or not guilty, is that innocent usually has an alibi, DNA testing, something that doesn't put them at the what? At the scene. When the police took Miss Jeter to jail, they only had one thing. They had the surveillance cameras at the ATM. Okay? That's it. When they did their investigation, they found out that there's no way possible. And then they questioned her, and they said, did you loan anybody your car? And she said, yeah, that bum, Mr. Poor. And then she says, okay, Miss Jeter, you can go home. You're free to go. At that point, she's innocent. So that's the difference between innocent and not guilty. So the complement, sometimes you think the complement is this, but it's usually not. But the complement is going to be written like that. You just put a line over it. Some people put an X through it, like this. You know, it depends on what you want to use. Now, what is probability? Probability is between 0 and 1. And the formula for probability is probability of an event is equal to the number of times something happens
and possible outcome.
Over, oh my gosh, she actually read. Over the number of times or number of outcomes. Possible outcomes, thank you. Oh, you must have had this before. You must have had a really good teacher. All right?
No, I don't like him.
Number of times something happens over the number of times something can occur. Let's go with the probability of tails on a coin. Well, probability of tails is 1 over 2. Okay? Because you have a coin, and how many sides does a coin have? 2. And how many sides is tails? 1. And that takes us to theoretical probability. Theoretical probability, I call it the Mayberry probability. And I can't spell, is reticle, is it with an H? I always get that wrong. I always want to put an H right here with the R and the E.
It's T-H-E-R-A-T-I-C-A-L.
Is there an H right here?
No.
I don't think there is.
There's no H. It's just one.
Hey, that's all I was asking. You had to, act like I couldn't spell. Okay,
well,
I just asked if there was an H in there.
Is there an H right here? So
yeah, Hubert can't spell, so I'm gonna spell it for him. Anyway,
that's what she said.
Mayberry. Did she say anything? Mayberry. Why do I call it the Mayberry probability? Because Mayberry is perfect. It's the utopia. It's the modern day utopia of that time, or whatever you want to call it. What's the utopia? Perfect society. Nobody's married. Nobody has any troubles because nobody's married.
That's not the
And
reason.
the only couple that is married is the one that fights all the time. You have to watch the show to understand what I'm talking about. Y'all have no idea where Mayberry is.
Mount Airy, North Carolina.
Thank you. The Andy Griffith
I've
Show.
been there.
And I don't even know what the hell you're talking about. You talking about those idiots that sing through their nose?
Yeah.
No, I don't listen to them.
I don't either, but I know they got a song about it. It's cherry
I actually went there.
Actually, they're about as creative as a thumb. Anyway, I'm not even going to go there. But Mayberry probability. In other words, it's the perfect town, again, because nobody's married, so therefore everybody's happy. Okay? And everybody's happy. There's no, drama. There's no, domestic violence, anything like that. The only case of domestic violence in Mayberry was between the married couple, and they were throwing stuff at each other. Okay? So, theoretical probability is the perfect probability, and it's 100% based on
Mayberry.
math.
Number happens, number outcomes.
Miss Jeter,
Yo.
what is the probability of picking a king out of a deck of cards?
1 out of 52. No,
Well,
4 out of 52.
4 out of 52.
4. Yeah.
All right, show me the cards that you've got in front of you.
I don't have any cards in front of me.
Well, how'd you know that?
Because I know there's 52 cards in a deck.
Okay, so all everything that you just said is based on the mathematics of 4 kings and a deck of cards of 52. You don't have a deck of cards in front of you. That's theoretical probability. In other words, you don't have to actually have the stuff in front of you to find the probability. You know it mathematically. What's the probability of rolling a 6 on a die?
1 out of 3 if it's not waiting.
Show me your die. You don't have a die.
Right.
You know it. You know it based off the mathematics of the die. And for those of you who don't know what a die is, you know what dice are. Dice is 2 die. Die is singular for dice. I have to explain that because usually there's one student somewhere that goes, what's a die? Okay? Because they don't know the plural and the singular. Okay? Then what's the opposite of theoretical probability? It's called the classic probability. Will you please be quiet, Miss Jeter? Okay?
Well, can I please cough when I want to?
No. Classic probability. You need to lay off them Marlboro Reds, girl. The classic probability is what I call the physical probability. And that is what you actually, what? You do.
No.
Or what you actually do based on observation. So if I gave you a deck of cards, that would be the classic probability or the physical probability. Now, these two will not equal. They usually don't equal. Why? Because it's just a coincidence if it does, but there's a rule called the rule of large numbers. And the rule of large numbers, basically, in probability and statistics, is anti-LAD, and it's CYA. In the real world, if you're given a task, you want to make sure you do enough observations or you have enough data to conclude whatever you need to conclude or whatever you're concluding so you don't get fired, okay? The rule of large numbers basically says the more data, the more surveys, in other words, the more you do, the closer
You are.
the Mayberry probability will equal the physical probability. Okay? So I'll give you an example. Okay? At MIT, there was these 2 students, and these 2 students wanted to figure out how many flips it would take a coin to reach 0.5 probability. So the probability of tails on a coin is 0.5. Everybody understand that?
Yep.
They wanted to know, the 2 MIT students wanted to know how many flips would it take to get the probability of tails to equal 0.5. That's what they wanted to find out. But they didn't want to flip the coin that many times. So what they did is they took a roll of quarters and they took a scale, a micrometer, an infrared beam, or whatever you call those red beams. They took all of that technology and they created a virtual quarter. A virtual quarter means that it's represented in the computer as an algorithm. Okay? They measured it with a micrometer. They measured it with a laser. They took 10 weights. I know there's 40 quarters in a roll, right? They took 40 weights. They took 40 measurements with the laser. They took 40 measurements with the micrometer. They measured to see if it was balanced. They put it on a needle and found out if it was balanced. They did it 40 times, and they came up with a algorithmically generated quarter. They put it into the computer in the program that they were writing, and they hit the button, and they let it go until it reached 0.5 probability. Anybody want to take a guess how many flips it would take you to reach 0.5 probability exactly?
A couple million, if at all.
No, it wasn't a couple million. It wasn't that many. Anybody want to take another guess?
Priority 1 message coming in on secured channel.
How much you want to bet? This is somebody telling me that they're going to Skype in the next class 20 minutes before class. Let's see.
I don't want to take your money like that.
Mm-hmm. I will be Skyping in class next class. When does class start?
10-10.
10.
That's 20 minutes from now.
Coming in on secured channel.
Another one.
Man, you
They're
just
just
doubled
trying to
my
let
money.
you know, Hubert. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to let you know they're going to Skype in to your class. Want you to be aware of that 20 minutes before.
20
You
minutes.
sleep prepare yourself.
The directions say what?
5 minutes.
Okay. All right. Anyway, where was I? Oh, yeah. So they plugged it in, and you said 2 million. That's too many. And you said 1. What'd you say? 100,000 times. It took the computer 100,000 times, and the probability came up to be 0.499995. Okay? Now, what does this mean? Well, let's say that you are is everybody listening? Because I can't see half of y'all, and some of y'all look like y'all not even paying attention.
We listening.
Okay? Let's say that you work at Michelin, and you don't work at Michelin, coming home with your face black. You don't work at Michelin there. You work at Michelin up there above Greenville at the Crystal Palace. Okay, y'all know where I'm talking about?
No.
Okay, and you're not a CEO, but you're an executive of quality assurance. And your job is to do the research to find out, let's see, there's Woodruff, there's Greenville, there's Anderson, there's Sandy Springs. You got about 5 or 6, I don't know how many in the southeast. But your job is to predict for next year the budget numbers for defective tires at Michelin Southeast. Everybody with me?
Yeah.
So the meeting comes up, and you're playing golf, and you remember, oh gosh, next week is the meeting. I need to go, and I need to pull 10 tires from Sandy Springs, 10 tires from Woodruff, 10 tires from Anderson, and 10 tires from Greenville. And you do a report, and you do all the mathematics, and you make the report up, and the meeting comes around, and you predict that in the year 2020, or 2021, because it's next year, that we will have 26% of our tires be defective. And that translates into $1.6 million. So you need to put that in the budget. $1.6 million. 2021 rolls around, and guess what the defective tires was for the Southeast?
2%.
It was 36%, which cost Michelin $5.6 million. Guess what? You're fired. They pay you 6 figures. You only have one job. And you didn't what?
Complete it.
Why? Because you picked 10 tires per plant. What should you have picked? Do you know how big a Michelin plant is? You should have picked at least 1,000. You know how many tires a Michelin plant puts out a day? A lot. Pulling 10 tires ain't going to work. Pulling 10 tires is what? LAD. So what do you need to do? You need to pull more tires. Now, what if I don't care if you're in tires or nursing. If you're doing a report at the end of the year, you don't just pull 3 people off the floor that died or that was sick or that had this. You pull every patient and you use all the numbers. LAD and probability and statistics do not go together at all. Okay? Now you can be LAD with algebra, or you can be LAD in some cases of calculus because it's so repetitive. But with probability and statistics, each time you're given an assignment or a what? Or a report to do, it's going to be different what? Different data every single time. It's going to be a different case every single time. So you can't go with the LAD. You got to go with the CYA. And the CYA is the rule of large numbers. Okay? I don't know why my little alarm hadn't went off. What time does this class? Oh, it goes off at 10 o'clock because this class. Okay, we'll go ahead and call it right there. Okay, golly, you don't have to act so happy. Daggum, people.
He's as a criminal. He's going to get out of here.
Yeah, why don't you just run through the door, Mr. Bohr? He's mad because I called him a bum. Well, at least y'all, I bet you $1, those stick in your head now.
Yeah.
I can never look at
Oh,
Mr.
you
Ford
were?
again.
Yeah, was I?